A lot of us tend to ask this question of, how do I handle all of this? How do I make all of this work? How do I do all of these things? And the real question we need to be asking is, what am I holding that is not mine to hold? The flow that's supposed to move through that structure is where the wisdom lives. Most women in the second half of life are not tired because they're doing too much. They're tired because they've been holding so much for so long. That kind of fatigue that is felt is like swimming upstream and getting absolutely nowhere. Now, this might express itself in ways that you haven't really stopped to think about. Maybe you snap at someone you love and you didn't even recognize yourself in that moment. Or maybe you feel like you really need a good cry, but you're not able to. You just can't let the tears flow, or they don't seem to want to come. Maybe you sit down to create something and there's just nothing to work with. Or you find yourself pushing through when your body is begging you to stop. The thoughts I have to share today are rather counterintuitive because they're not about doing anything more, but rather about aligning with less, but not the less in the way you've likely been told. Welcome to Soul Knows the Way, a podcast for women in the second half of life who sense a soul hunger they can no longer ignore, a longing for depth, truth, and a life lived from the inside out. I'm Kim Marie, soul guide, author, and I'm here to walk that journey with you. I'm so glad you're here. In our last conversation, the last podcast episode, we explored the first of the 7 keys to reclaim your soul, the root key. If you don't have the free guide that goes with it, be sure to click the link in the description below. It's a completely free guide, and these podcast episodes are a wonderful audio companion to that guide. Now, if the root key is about coming home to the ground that holds you, this key is ultimately about everything we need to release in order to fully feel that ground. And before I tell you what it is, I just want to name what it starts to feel like when this key is missing, because so many women carry this for years without realizing that their experience is showing them something they really need to start paying attention to. They ultimately begin to have emotions that feel ready to burst, or they're overflowing. This is that snapping, maybe the tears that are profuse and beyond what you would have expected. Maybe there's even a scary anger for you and for others, and not recognizing yourself in that. Or maybe it's even the opposite. You might have a flatness or an inability to cry when needed, or an inability to get angry when you probably should. You might be working on a project, ready to create, finding nothing there, nothing that you can resource yourself, or you just don't have any of that energy. And then you might also be feeling a certain tenderness or fragility even, where it's like the smallest disruptions are unusually throwing you off and you just can't figure out why. And of course, the constant pushing through when we desperately should be stopping and our body's screaming out to us. And maybe it even goes so far as to be martyring ourselves, where we think we have to do all of this, we have to hold all of this, and we're simply carrying way too much. We might see a sense of stagnation instead of feeling alive and flowing. So, despite the tendency for us to think we're failing or somehow insufficient in our abilities, the reality is that you are full to the brim, and nothing flows through what is already full. If we're completely filled up, up to here, wherever it is, then we can't take in anymore. We can't hold anymore. Now, I want to share a bit of how this showed up in my life. And it's happened a few times. Sometimes we don't always learn the first time. But ultimately, I had some experiences in my past, and it was particularly within about 3 or 4 years of becoming a single parent that I found myself with significant adrenal fatigue. And I realized I had to step out of the wrong flow in order to get back into the right flow. Okay. This was years of carrying what was not mine. This was my body finally saying, no more, no way, no how. You don't get to do these things anymore. And a recognition of an exhaustion that for me was not just physical, it was the cost of a life that was held way too tightly. And our world is constantly giving us the wrong medicine for this. The world's answer is to add more, right? More discipline, more morning routines and journaling and therapy, maybe more supplements or more productivity hacks and more fixing, more expressing ourselves. It's not that these things are wrong, okay? They all have their place. They can definitely be of support to help us shift things and change things. It's just that they're not the root of the issue. What's actually happening is that your soul is asking for less, and the world keeps telling you to add more. Our culture is focused on productivity, progress, and structure, but the flow that's supposed to move through that structure is where the wisdom lives. That's where the sacred feminine lives. That's where the soul itself is longing to express. And we've been given the riverbanks in this culture of structure and form, but we haven't been taught how to let the river move through that. You're not failing at the flow. You are full to the brim. And the way home to your soul, the way to unlock your soul is not to add anything, it's to release. Our second key is empty. Now, in case you haven't noticed or you didn't have the document before, this idea of the 7 keys to reclaim your soul. Reclaim is an acronym for these keys to help you remember. Root being the first, and now here we are at empty being the second. To empty does not mean that we're emptying yourself of you. It means emptying yourself of what's not yours. This would be all the shoulds, the expectations that we tend to put on ourselves or that we think others have of us, or maybe some others do have of us. The reality is our culture, our standards, our society, there are a lot of expectations. There are a lot of shoulds put upon us. Going against the grain, challenging the status quo is not exactly something that's often accepted. And yet we hold these shoulds and expectations like they are something we have to hold. And this is one of those things that we need to empty from. Another thing that we hold on to that is not ours to be held are emotions held for far too long. This might come in the form of grudges, resentments, frustrations, but it often comes in the form of emotions that we feel somehow not allowed to release and let go of. It also is the roles that we've carried that are outdated, the roles that we've played that we think we're supposed to play, that maybe it's time to shift. It's the idea that we need to be everything for everyone. We also need to release the baggage that we've held, that's been handed to us, whether it could be carried or not. The flow is where wisdom lives. The flow is where the sacred feminine nature of soul resides. To meet soul means we have to make space for the movement of that flow. We have to allow for that flow. Now, I mentioned in prior episodes that these keys, these 7 keys to reclaim the soul and unlock your inner wisdom, they are connected with the 7 chakras. And the first was the root chakra. And here we're moving into the sacral chakra with the empty key. This is the bowl of your pelvis. This is where creative life force lies. It's just below the navel, and it governs our emotion and also our creativity, our sense of sensuality, and our capacity for flow, to be in the creative flow of life force itself. Now, I would love to invite you to think of the pelvic bowl as somewhat of a chalice, this bowl that is sitting there, and it must be filled. It must be filled. It's not meant to sit empty. But here's the thing. It also has to be emptied in order to be filled. Now, there's the paradoxical nature of this situation because it will be filled. It has to sit full. The question is, what is being put into it? What are we filling it with, right? So a lot of us tend to ask this question of, how do I handle all of this? How do I make all of this work? How do I do all of these things? And the real question we need to be asking is, what am I holding that is not mine to hold? While we might think of emptying as being about losing or getting rid of something, it's really about making space for your own breath, the life force that moves through you, making space for your own emotions to be expressed, to be moved. I love to think of emotion as emotion, energy in motion. When we don't allow that to move through us, when we stuff it under the rug, when we ignore it, we get stuck and our energy suffers. And we wonder why we can't do all the things, right? This is for your own creative current. It's for your own soul to finally move through the woman that has been holding the door closed. And sure, there may be things we have to shift, adjust, and indeed release. But the focus here is on creating space for more of you to be embodied. So let's take a moment here to explore how we can tap into this empty key. And remember, the guide is in the link below and in the description. So you can download that and get some more ideas of how to work with it right there in the guide and carry it with you. But let's work with this to unlock our own soul's inner wisdom. Now, ideally, it would be great if you could take a moment to pause whatever you're doing, just for a moment, just for 2 or 3 minutes. It doesn't take long. It doesn't need to take long. These keys are meant to be something you can easily practice. So this will only take a couple of minutes. And I want you to just simply, as we're sitting here together, wherever you are, imagine your body as a river. And there's this water, this flow pouring through you, pouring through your limbs, into your fingertips, into your toes, into every organ. I want you to simply notice for a moment. Just imagine, and you can close your eyes if you need to. You can allow yourself to just feel into this. Notice where that water, that flow, feels still or stagnant. Is it pooling somewhere? Is it just stuck somewhere? Where might it be rushing too fast? This might be the thoughts racing or the impatience coming up, right? Where does it feel like that water is overflowing the banks, overflowing the structure that it's there to fit into? Where's it coming out? Do you feel like it comes out in, your throat, like you just want to scream? Is it coming out in your head and your ears, like you just want to explode in your head? Does it feel like it's just overwhelming your belly and you feel like you could throw up? Where's it overflowing? And where might it have gone dry? Like there's no fluid, no water, no nothing moving in those areas of your body. All you have to do is notice. That's it. There's nothing to fix. Awareness is the first expression of emptying, believe it or not. Just simply being aware. Now, in a similar fashion, I want you to imagine a warm wave of light, golden light, flowing, entering through the crown of your head, very slowly, very gracefully moving, swirling down through the body. And it's washing away the need to push, the need to hold, the need to control. Just let it find the stagnant places. Let it find the rushing ones. Let it move through. This flow of golden light is a cleansing light. It's an emptying light. And as it moves through you, I invite you to let everything that is being emptied move down your body and out through the soles of your feet. Let Mother Earth receive it. She will happily take it for you. All that baggage that was handed to you that you didn't even know how to carry or had nothing left to carry, she composts it all. She composts every bit of it. What was once stuck and unusable or is waste now becomes the soil for what wants to move through you. But we have to take this step. We have to ask her. We have to intentionally move it out, clear it out. Notice when we are in a stuck space and let it move through the soles of your feet. Let it pour out and be composted by the Great Mother. The same feet that drew nourishment up from her in our rooting practice, they're now letting the weight and the burdens and the waste move out, everything you're not meant to hold. So the idea of this root key and the empty key, they work together. All the keys really work together. But it's beautiful to notice how they're moving in different directions. And that's what we have. We have this motion in the directions of drawing up energies from the heart of the earth, the heart of the Great Mother, and drawing down energies from source, from light, from truth, from purity. Everything is moving in both directions. Now, as you notice this, as you compost, as you let it go, notice what's different. Notice if there's anything unfamiliar. Maybe a simple quiet of having a little bit more room inside. Notice if any part of you wants to fill it again, like you're immediately thinking, great, okay, now I can go get to work, to plan, to grab onto something. Does it feel uncomfortable to have cleared out a bit or emptied? Any of that is worth noticing. Even when we get to where we wish to be, that unfamiliarity is uncomfortable. We talked about that in the last episode a bit too. And whether it's comfortable or not, they both deserve our awareness. This is what the empty key is asking of you. It's not a one-time release. It's a regular emptying in order to tap into the flow of our lives. Now, the river is always moving. We can feel it. It's represented in our breath, the ebb and flow, like the ebb and flow of the tides, the inhale and the exhale. The pulse of our blood moving through our veins, the beat of our heart incessantly pumping. The river is always flowing. And our task is to become aware of this, to tap into that light of source that can pour through, inviting it to help us in, intentionally inviting it, and ask it to compost what is no longer needed. Once you've found this, once you've tapped into this, the beauty is that you're able to return to it. There's no need for special circumstances. Similar to our root key, you can do it from anywhere. This one maybe requires a little bit more of a pause, a little bit more of a quiet moment, but you don't have to have that meditation cushion. You don't have to have a special altar space to go to. You can just pause at the end of your workday. You can allow it to flow through you instead of pushing it away, whatever it is, whatever you've been avoiding, maybe the emotions, maybe the energies, maybe that project that you know you need to get to and want to get to, and just allowing the life force to begin to move through you. You can practice saying no when you mean no, and yes when you mean yes to what is yours to carry. That is a huge difference. We could have a whole other episode on the power of saying yes when we're supposed to say yes, and the power of saying no when we're supposed to say no, and how to know the difference. These are such important keys. Now, you can also do this when you want to release tension. It can happen just through the breath. Take a big inhale and exhale out, and it gets the flow moving. You could jump up and down a little bit to get the flow moving. Shake yourself a little bit to get the flow moving. You can do this before sleep and ask Mother Earth to compost the day and all the worries and all the things that you don't need to be carrying into sleep and certainly don't need to carry into the next day. You can also ask her to hold things that you do want for the next day, but that you don't want in your sleep. I also love to play with what I call threshold moments. You can practice this idea of flow by tuning into that flow in moments of transition. Like take a moment to feel that river, bring in that cleansing light before you get out of your car after coming home from work and going into the house, or before you step out of your bedroom for the day to face your family or your workplace or your projects, whatever it is, to allow yourself to step into that flow and know that you're filling yourself up with that kind of source energy. What's asked of you is not more effort, more time, more energy, or more holding. Goodness gracious, no. What your soul is asking for is for you to make space, to release and let go of what keeps it from bringing your inner wisdom to the forefront. Root, the root key, gave us the ground beneath our feet. The empty key gives movement through you so that you can really feel that ground. You can let that foundational support be worked with and begin to notice your own creative life force flowing through you. Together, they also make the next 5 keys possible. We can't claim or love or articulate or intuit or midwife from a vessel that is too full or too empty for that matter. We have to be willing to fill up. So if you haven't downloaded your 7 keys to reclaim your soul, be sure to do that. These audios are an accompaniment to the guide with more details, and the guide itself has things that aren't necessarily in these audios. It's an opportunity to learn from different angles and different perspectives, which is something I firmly believe in all of my work. Everything I do, my programs and whatnot, there's always ways of listening, visualizing. I have kinesthetic approaches as well, because we all are different. We all learn differently. And each key is written with some teaching, written material, and an activation, and then this accompanying audio. So be sure to download your copy, and you can unlock these keys, unlock this wisdom of your soul at your own pace, taking your time, and refer back to it whenever you need to. If you're sensing this work is something you're ready to go deeper into or that you're curious about, there are many different options I offer. And I just want to make you aware that there's also a link in the description for my Solace program. That is my signature offer. That is where I have so much material that comes at things from so many different beautiful angles. And with the empty key, it can be challenging because sometimes we can empty ourselves and we immediately fill right back up with all the things. And that can be particularly true when we don't have community and we don't have support. We need support to stay empty in the right way. It's really no different than an addict that needs support to stay sober. Life will keep throwing these things at us until we really get strong within ourselves to stay clear in the way that we want to. Solace is a year-long sanctuary that supports you in emptying as an ongoing practice. And I'll talk about solace more in the future, I'm sure. But when your soul is ready, the door's open. And I hope that you will consider joining. And if you're not ready for something paid, my free SOULSTEAD space is so beautiful as a nurturing way to gather away from the noise with other women on the path, other women curious about this. And it's the first place I share new podcast episodes, articles, seasonal gatherings that are free, and reflections for ongoing soul support. The link to all of that is below. And I hope that you'll take this with you today. You don't need to do more to feel more. You need to make space. You need to put down whatever was never yours and let the river move through you. The soul cannot speak through a vessel that has no space. But the good news is she's patient. She's waiting. And the moment you empty even a small corner of yourself, she will begin to flow again, because that's her natural expression, is to be in flow. So think about emptying that chalice. Let the river move. You are, after all, the grail that is waiting to receive the gifts of soul and source. Next time, when we speak about key number 3 for unlocking your soul wisdom, we will explore what becomes possible when a woman finally stands in her own sovereign truth, without permission, without apology, and without giving her power away. Until next time, keep tuning into the language of your soul, because soul knows the way.